Right, this time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for the over 100 of you right now that have remained patient with me over these last 15 minutes or so. I was having some technical issues. The microphone wasn't working, even though it's plugged in fine. Turns out all I had to do was restart the software, which did mean having to stop the stream and start again. Then I accidentally streamed to the wrong server, had to cancel that. And now we're back. We're here finally live this evening to recap what has been a big weekend again once more in the Scottish Premiership, where I think, and I maybe fact check this, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the statistic is that only the second time this season, only the second match day this season, where all three teams at the top of the Scottish Premiership table have won. So it's been a big weekend in that regard. There was a moment where it looked as though Hearts were going to drop points. They got a penalty late in the game to win the game 2-1. We'll come on to maybe talking about that later. There was a point where it looked as though Rangers were going to drop points. They were down 2-0, managed to have, I don't know what happened, but went on to win 6-3 in a chaotic game against Falkirk. And then finally, let's just call it as for a brief while, it looked as though Celtic could have maybe dropped points. I don't think any of the three teams, Rangers ended up getting it done quite convincingly in the second half, but I think across all three games this weekend, there was at least, 45 minutes of football, you could say, where none of the top three looked all that convincing. Celtic did win yesterday, and that's all that matters. But, for large portions, especially that second half, we weren't all that good. We weren't all that great. And I feel like there's been a kind of narrative shift or switch up, I should say, this afternoon after Rangers won 6-3. I've seen a lot of Celtic fans running with the narrative that, say what you want, but we wouldn't be able to do that. That might be correct, that might be right, who knows? Hopefully we're never in the position where we need to worry about it, but the fact of the matter is, the last two times we were down 2-0 in big games, one of them we lost, so the last two of them, we came back, won at Rugby Park, came back, got a huge point at Ibrox to keep ourselves in the title race. This team might not be great, and you might not be able to say it confidently. I don't think for a moment you can say that it's a confident claim to say Celtic would have done what Rangers done today, but I don't think you can rule out Celtic's credentials in regards to how big the fight in the dog is right now, because so many times this year we've came back and we've scored late. The big difference is goals. We'll talk about that. Celtic can't score a lot of goals, whereas Rangers score 6 in one game. It feels like Celtic have struggled to score 6 in 2026. So we've got a lot to cover. Thank you for joining me. Apologies that we're in live stream form tonight. I know some of you prefer the live streams anyway, but I had a family birthday party today. I was out of the house. I was away in Falkirk for quite a while, so I wasn't back till late, and I thought, why not just go live this evening. Funnily enough, I was in Falkirk while the game was on. I was up the road from the Falkirk Stadium. Alas, my near presence didn't do Falkirk any good. Right, we're going to be talking for the next half hour or so about Celtic, about the weekend in the Scottish Premiership, and of course giving you my reaction to yesterday's game. There was no post-match reaction yesterday, so apologies. Look, I think first and foremost, I just want to say, I don't think any of the results this weekend change anything about the narrative. We're in the exact same position now. In fact, if we go and look at the league table very quickly, the league table is essentially the exact same it was heading into match day 33. We now commence into the split. The split begins in a couple of weeks' time after the semi-final weekend at Hampden, where the big clubs play next week. We have the split fixtures to worry about, but nothing's changed. The fact of the matter is, Celtic need to win every single one of their games, and out of the remaining 6 that we had, and now 5 to play, we're 1 out of 6. It's just got to keep rolling, and we have a difficult set of fixtures coming up. Maybe a favourable set of fixtures when you compare what Hearts and Rangers have with home and aways and stuff like that. But nothing's changed, and I don't think anybody should be necessarily worried after the weekend. Look, we know this Celtic team are poor. It's not like a revelation. Was anybody rocking up to Celtic Park on Saturday expecting to see a convincing win? Expecting Celtic to run all over St Mirren? If you expected that, newsflash, don't know what you've been watching all year. And people today maybe getting a wee bit kind of paranoid because Rangers went and scored 6 goals. Their business is their business. We focus on ours. As long as we beat Rangers, Celtic can win the league. So, I am obviously looking around this and what's happening, and I'm not trying to discredit what Hearts or Rangers are doing before anybody tries to, create a different kind of narrative from what I'm saying. But Celtic just need to win all their games. It's as simple as that. I'm not feeling any added pressure today than from where I was. I think the pressure for me is at a stagnant point right now. It's not changed from where it was yesterday pre-St Mirren, and I expected Hearts and Rangers to win this weekend. I had a feeling Rangers could have slipped up today, but I knew fine well that they were going to beat Falkirk. So, we know what we have to do. This is the league table. We're still third. Not pleasant reading in that regard, but you beat Rangers, you beat Hearts, you flip that round a little bit, and it's as simple as that. Win every game. So let's talk about yesterday. I will be coming on to a Q&A in the second half of the show, as I normally do, because there's so much ground we have to cover. I've missed over these last couple of days. But I'll start off with my brief thoughts around yesterday's game. Yeah, Celtic were poor. There's no two ways about it, but I'm not going to change... I'm not going to change anything from what I said going into the game. Like, as I said, I didn't expect it. I know I predicted 3-1, but I wasn't expecting to be a pretty 3-1. And we still got a clean sheet. We got a clean sheet. Ryan, can you sing "Let It All Work Out"? Let it all work out. Let it all work out. God, you're going to post that, aren't you? Nonetheless, right, it wasn't an impressive performance. I think the thing that was frustrating for me yesterday was we just seen a lot of the same traits that we've seen in the Celtic side for weeks. Start the game pretty well, tail off, get the lead or whatever. Second half, I really need to know what we're doing at half time. Are the players getting their phones out and playing Subway Surfers while Martin O'Neill talks to himself? Are they putting in earplugs? Are they... what are they doing? I was about to get gruesome with it there, but I'll pass. The second half performance was really concerning at times in the game, and we've done well to see it out and make sure we left with the 3 points. And I don't think this is... I'm not going to create a false narrative that St Mirren possessed any real threat. Like, there was not really any moments in that second half where they went forward and I was like, oh, we're hanging on here, blah, blah, blah. But obviously there is that reservation in the back of your head going, we're only a goal up here, we need a second one to just calm the nerves, cool things a wee bit. But I don't know what happens. But I thought in the first 5 or so minutes, and you felt it with the boost in the atmosphere, the return of the Green Brigade, first 5-10 minutes, I thought that we were pretty good. And then it all fell away. It all fell away very, very quickly, and that was frustrating. I think that our midfield is struggling. That was one of the main takeaways for me yesterday. I just thought the midfield was struggling. And I know Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain popped up with a goal, ended up getting man of the match. I don't think he was all that impressive outside the goal. And it wasn't bad either, but I just think that the midfield is just really, really... I think that Engels' introduction into the game was fine for his first game back, so I wasn't expecting much. But I thought we struggled in the middle of the park yesterday. And that was where my real worries came from. And it felt like whenever St Mirren did manage to get forward with any real conviction, a lot of it was coming from running over us in the middle of the park. So, look, we created chances. I think that one... I'm not going to sit here and give a very detailed recap on yesterday's game. We still try too much. We take a touch too many constantly. We try and make it too difficult for ourselves. We are the masters of our own demise, the masters of our own downfall when we get into the final third. The amount of times that Thomas Chalanchara would take a touch too many or he'd make the wrong decision, or Yang would take a touch too many or make the wrong decision. And I think Maida was actually okay yesterday, but he wasn't really in the game too much. We're just overthinking it a little bit. And I think that's, to be honest, I think that's a trait across all three. I watched a bit of that Rangers game today. It was on at the party that I was at. And Rangers are guilty of it as well. I think they have players that maybe overthink it a little bit too much when we get into the final third. I think Hearts can be guilty of it. But most importantly, we saw it out, we got the win, and as I said, I think the point, I get it, and I've been one all season that's been saying we need a performance, we need something to reassure the supporters and give them the faith in our performances that moving forward we'll win games. And right now we're not getting that, but I have now settled into the mould of performances don't matter. With 5 games to go, it's about winning the games, and if it's by hook or by crook, and if it's slender, so be it. If it means winning a league title in that fashion, I am beyond the point of caring anymore, and it hurts. Don't get me wrong, I'm not wanting to settle into this acceptance. It's not like I'm fine with Celtic being poor. I want that to change next season, desperately. But I have accepted now that for the last 5 games, Celtic are probably not going to win any of their games by more than 1 goal at this rate. And I'm fine with it if it means we win a league title. So it might sound very, almost defeatist in a way, or it might sound very kind of, as if I've lowered my expectations for the club. But with 5 league games left, we're not going to see a turnaround in the team that means we beat teams or we scalp teams every week. It's just not going to happen. And if you think that's going to happen, or if you're waiting for that to happen, I would rein your expectations in pretty quickly, because it's just not going to. So we got through the game. We done well enough to see the win. I don't think there was really any standout performers for me yesterday. If I was to come to performances, nobody really kind of stood out for me. I think that everybody was, kind of average, or just above average, and maybe just below average as well. I don't think anybody was necessarily stinking either. I seen obviously a lot of people giving Big Tam stick, and I think with Big Tam yesterday, yeah, of course, in front of goal, which is his main job, he just isn't the player that we need, and he's not good enough. But I actually thought a lot of the joy that we were getting in the first half, a lot, and you might need to distract yourself from where the ball is to see it, but a lot of the movement stuff, a lot of the gaps that were opening up, a lot of it was getting done from Travan Chara's movement. I was noticing that as the first half kind of went on. I'm not saying he was amazing or anything, by the way, just making it clear, but yeah, no real standout performers. I don't think there was any real huge stinkers either, or unless I'm forgetting. I did have a few drinks after the game yesterday, so maybe I've wiped my memory. But look, we win, and that's what matters. We will obviously touch on, maybe during the Q&A, the significance of Rangers and Hearts going on to win their games as well. I think now, who's going to crack is the big question, and when will they crack? Like, how early in the split will someone fall? Because, of course, none of us play each other. Let me just make this clear. Hearts and Rangers do not play in the first game of the split. Yes, because it's Hibs and Hearts coming up after the Scottish Cup. We then have Rangers and Motherwell coming up, and then, of course, our first game of the split fixtures is against Falkirk in that 5:30 Saturday kickoff. Who will crack first? Will any crack in that first week? None of us play each other in the opening fixtures post-split. So who will be first to crack? I'm going to be interested to see it, because it looked like it was going to be Hearts, and then it looked like it was going to be Rangers. None of us did. So we can sit and question the mentality of certain players, of certain teams, but ultimately, everybody won. So my final thing before I take us into the Q&A, and I'm sure a lot of you will touch on this as we get into that segment of the stream, the one thing I will say is that I spoke to so many people yesterday in pubs after the game, and a couple of the local boozers. Shout out to any of the people that I bumped into that said enjoy the channel. Shout out to Jimmy from the Inverness CSC, for example. And I got asked this question a lot: are we going to win the league? And I'm going to be boring when I say it. I don't know. I've not got a crystal ball. I'm not seeing enough evidence in the park to confidently say, we're going to go and beat Rangers in a couple of weeks' time. This is my boring answer. Whoever wins that derby, I think wins the league. And I'm not trying to discredit Hearts. I'm not trying to say they don't have a chance, because they do. They really do. But I just feel like whoever wins the derby is going to win the league title. And I'll probably have a more concrete and non-shite bag type answer after that derby game in a few weeks' time. But right now, it's anybody's title to win or lose. So the answer I gave most people yesterday stands true on this. It stands true on this stream tonight. Right, I'm going to switch us over to the Q&A. I'm sure you've got so many points. The chat is flying, so get them all ready for me before I give you some. It's not letting me bring up the comments on screen. No. Oh man, a bit of a disaster. I need to log out there. I won't be able to bring up comments on screen, sadly. Fuck, that's annoying. But Callum, thank you for the $4.99, mate. You're an absolute legend with the first donation of the stream, saying basically as we were before the weekend games, big win, has to be better. My wee cousin enjoyed his first time at Parker's. Respect from G32. Respect to you guys over in G32, Callum. So yeah. We're going to go into the Q&A. Get your questions and points lined up. As always, thank you to all of the people that make these streams possible. Thank you to our sponsors who allow this fantastic software to bring you the best quality of streams. I'll be back in a minute. Line up all your questions, line up all your points, and we'll talk a wee bit more about Celtic tonight. When was the last time your boiler had a health check? Cairns Heating Solutions are trusted local heating experts based in Coatbridge and serving homes across Lanarkshire and the surrounding areas. Right now, they're offering a comprehensive boiler health check for just £60, including full safety and efficiency tests. And with the weather starting to warm up, now's the best time to get ahead of the game. Book your new boiler installation while demand is lower, and your system will be ready to perform when winter returns. They have boilers to suit every budget, starting from £1,500, supplied and fitted, with manufacturer warranties ranging from 5 to 10 years. To book your appointment, call 01236 338 448 or email cairnsheatingsolutions@gmail.com today. Cairns Heating Solutions, reliable heating, locally delivered. And we are delighted to be supported by fellow professional within our community, Craig M. Bush, Independent Financial Advisor. While we focus on the 90 minutes on the pitch, Craig focuses on the next 30 years of your life. From independent pension advice to strategic wealth planning, he's here to ensure your financial legacy is as strong as our club's history. You can grab a free initial consultation with Craig today to see how he can help you keep more of what you earn. Check out the details below. Your capital is at risk. The value of investments can go down as well as up, and you may get back less than you invested. Tax treatment depends on individual circumstances and may be subject to change in the future. Craig M. Bush is an independent financial advisor with Money Advice and Planning Limited. Okay, let's do another wee 20 or 15, 20 minutes or so talking about the weekend and other things. Thank you to Brody, who's been a member for 4 months, saying happy 4 months. Ryan, weird one, where did you get your glasses and what make are they? Not to show off, these are Ray-Bans. Got them from Boots Opticians. Shout out to Boots and Optician El Naim. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Yeah, Boots Opticians, Ray-Bans, that's the ones. Thank you for the weird question. I wasn't expecting to start off with that. Right, let's talk about Celtic. Get your questions in. Let's start with Cal, one of the legends of the channel, the TikTok legend himself. How are you doing, sir? It's good to see you in one of the streams. He says, should Nygren be a super sub or midfield is unbalanced? He runs like a giraffe, and I think that Rio, Kalmak and Engels is far superior. It's a loaded question. I think it's hard to answer. I get what you're saying, and honestly, to a degree, I think I actually am on board with what you're saying. I don't think that Nygren's overall ability is he doesn't stand out. He doesn't add much off the ball or what. I don't know what it is. He's just not. I think we can all accept that Nygren's just not a fantastic player, or at least he's not looking like one in this current poor Celtic side. But the thing is, the 19 goals he scores say otherwise. And is it easy to drop a guy with 19 goals, your top scorer, no matter what we say about balance? People that look at things black and white and use goals as the main metric will not want to see Nygren dropped, and they will think it's probably unjustifiable. I think it is justifiable to drop him, but it is just do you put it this way: in a season where we lack goals, suddenly do you drop your best goal threat? Statistically, your best goal threat. I don't know if it's a safe or wise idea necessarily. I don't think it's a simple yes or no dropping Nygren to become a super sub. As I said, I think that you need to consider where do you make up those. Where would we be without those 19 goals? You know, we wouldn't be in a title race, put it that way. So suddenly, can you justify dropping it from the team? I think you've made a very interesting point. I am on board with what you're saying, but I think it's a difficult one to answer. And it's easy to get caught up in things without remembering where we'd be, or thinking about where we'd be without him, I should say. So that's an interesting first point, actually. Once again, Nygren was poor yesterday. As I said, the midfield was just it was terrible yesterday. It was really, really bad, and that's one of those ones that how do you go about fixing it? So I wanted, somebody was bringing it up early in the chat, I believe it was Mackenzie, and I do want to bring this up. There was talk about Callum McGregor and an injury issue because he was taken off early. For those who haven't seen what Martin O'Neill said about it, it says, Callum McGregor had a bit of a problem during the week but wanted to play. I'm delighted that he did and really didn't feel any worse than before. I'm delighted he got through as much as he did. We need him after in a few hours, but we stayed strong, and then talked about the issue being resolved. They said if it gets resolved, it would be great, yeah. I've got a habit of telling you on a Friday everything is rosy and coming up and telling you a day later, otherwise a day later, blah blah. I think now a few days, this is the bottom line stuff, and you may want to hear this. He says, I think it's going to be a few days off for Callum McGregor. I think he'll be ready. I think psychologically playing the game today was big news for him. Not that we're saving anybody for a semi-final, not at all. That's in 8 days or something. Yeah, he wanted to play. They played him. Apparently, he'll be fine. I've seen people talking about it in the chat earlier. I just wanted to clarify that part in case people were wondering what the script is with him right now. Let's go to a lot of... I see a staunch Nygren... Oh, there we go. It's let me bring up comments now. And it was a point out. I seen a staunch Nygren hater in the chat saying that they genuinely detest him or can't stand him or something like that, which I think is harsh. Look, he's not great, but he's, once again, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be in a title race this season. It's as simple as that. So I appreciate the efforts that he's given us, because without him, God knows where we'd be. Would you drop Cal Mack? I would try Rio, Arnie, and the Ox as a free. That's an interesting free because I've not really heard anybody suggest that. I think that I think that that's a risky one, because I don't know if I trust the likes of Arne as a single kind of pivot defensive midfielder, or Oxlade-Chamberlain being in that kind of role. I don't know if it's too, like, actually, let me just black and white this for you very quickly. There's no point in getting dragged away. You're not going to drop your captain in the last 5 games of the season when you're in a title race. No matter what you think of McGregor and his performances this season, it's just not going to happen. And honestly, I've been a critic this year of McGregor. He's one of my favourite Celtic players ever, though. But I've been a critic of him this season. I think we all have. I think we've all been rightfully worried about some of the levels of performance from the captain. But let's be real. You don't drop your captain with 5 games to go in a title race. That is novice type stuff. That's the kind of thing that you would slag like Mikel Arteta for. You know, just he's, a very slaggable manager. I think it's just as simple as that for me. Thank you, Adam, for your tremendous... By the way, 19 months from Adam, by the way. Give him a round of applause, everybody. He said, went for a nap at half-time in the Rangers game, woke up at 3-5. Remind me not to do that again. It's your fault. It's your fault, Adam. That's what it is. You caused the downfall in the second half. The midfield holds us back so much. I'm not in the McGregor finish train, but we go backwards so much with him playing. I drop him. Nigrin isn't a midfielder as well, would put him out wide. I don't know if he's got the pace to be out wide, though. That's the problem. It depends what kind of what your wing play looks like, I suppose. Like, if you're not concentrating on hitting the byline, which it feels like Celtic don't do a lot, actually, but if you're not concentrating on hitting the byline, beating your man sort of thing, I think that Nigrin could play out there, but, I don't see Nigrin as the kind of guy that's going to take on your man out wide, cut inside, and make something happen. I think that he's somebody that relies on a lot of space, and he's not going to get a lot of fullbacks hugging him, in my opinion. But look, I can understand that I didn't even bring up the comment. Sorry, Ryan. I get it. Look, I think McGregor being criticised is fair. I cannot get in the camp of dropping them, though. You just can't drop your captain. Somebody that's such a good captain as well. I mean, we're talking about one of the top 5 captains in the club's history, probably. Cal McGregor has done it all. He's won trophy after trophy. I just can't get in the camp of dropping him. Unless he dropped a generational stinker. Then I just... And I get it. Like, I get the whole, like, the midfield isn't balanced. It's not looking good. I agree with all of it. I agree with every bit of it. I opened my match reaction tonight by saying it, basically. But I don't think it gets much better, suddenly, by dropping him. Or at least significantly better. I just don't see it. So, aye. 4-4-2, get another midfielder in there to help overrun the midfield, and then either Nacho and Big Tom up front, or Maeda with Big Tom, and bring on Nacho after 60 if we would mix things up with 5 left. I've always been a fan of the notion of going kind of more 4-4-2 centric, whether you kind of deploy that as a 4-2-4, 4-4-2 or whatever. I've been kind of clamoring out for something like that for the longest time, but I'm not utterly convinced it would work. I just think that anything must be better than what we're doing right now, bar maybe the 3-5-2, which was an absolute disaster under Nancy. But I do think that the support needed up there. Once again, I was reiterated of the point, the point was reiterated to me yesterday watching the game, that Chuan Chara needs a kind of partner up there with him, somebody to support him, because when he does start holding up the ball, it feels like any of his anything he wants to do is people are just too late to the dance, and he can't do anything. And I mean, it's just poor generally. I don't think it would change massively giving him somebody, but I think it would help. I think it would at least marginally help. But once again, look, the point, I think my final point, and I've seen so many people talking about tactics and systems and formations. We have 5 games to go. There's no point. Martin O'Neill is not going to change it with 5 games to go. And whether that's our downfall or not, maybe it will be. But it's just not going to happen. We're not going to see a systematic change of any great proportion when there's 5 games to go and the margin for error is so thin. I think Martin O'Neill would rather try and win these games narrowly and do what we're doing, rather than risk changing it to a seismic extent and then losing the league title. honestly, I think we just need to start looking at it like that. I think we have to accept it, quite frankly. I think we need a bit of a risk currently. Talking about risks, this is why I wanted to bring up this comment. Smith says, I think we need to take a risk currently, especially against the big two, as they would beat us. I would be for dropping McGregor and Arne. A lot of talk about dropping McGregor tonight. And Arne, Ox and Hitati midfield. Drop Scales for Sriracha. Sriracha at centre half? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I cannot stand watching Liam Scales at the minute, but I don't know about taking off one of your real only kind of aerial presences and physical presences in the back four for a left back, for a kind of smaller statured left back. I'm not a fan of that. Risk, yeah, maybe we do need risk. I'm not saying, but my point is, I just don't think we'll have it. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't. I'm just I think we just need to accept that Martin O'Neill's not going to take any major gambles between now and the end. And if he doesn't and we win a league title for it, I think we'll all be very grateful, to be honest. But then again, would we be grateful if he'd done it and we did win the league? Don't know. It's all very on. We're on a knife's edge right now, where like one wrong move is catastrophic for our season, and I think everybody's going to be scared about taking that risk. Let's see, what are we going for? There is a point in change information. A good manager would change something that isn't working, but then again, we've won 4 out of 5 league games. Yeah, and once again, I agree with these points, by the way. I do. I agree with them to a certain extent. But I think we also need to be, like, this squad is garbage. It's absolute garbage. The team is terrible, and if you expect Martin O'Neill, who was ushered in from the cold, to come in and be able to implement a full systematic change, tactical change, for players who clearly aren't good enough at playing whatever they're playing just now, and in the space of 5 games, I think we just need to rein the expectation in. I know it's not a popular thing to say, and I get that. I'm making a point that just a lot of people won't be able to agree with. I understand it. I just think it's too late. You know, if we were going to make any big changes, it had to be January or February. Not now. And Anyway, evening Ryan, hope you're well. I know we're saying exactly what we said last week. Something needs changed up in the midfield. Also, don't think I'd be against Maeda at centre forward now. Yeah, I said it in one of my videos the other day that I think Maeda through the middle again, as much as it's not really worked this season, is something that I'm just open to accepting if need be. Sebastian Tenecti, what happened to him, Where's he been? I mean, he was rotten anyway, but where's he been? You know, I've not seen him. But aye. Let's see. I want to bring in some of this kind of opinion because I think it's very fair to acknowledge, and it's obviously an understandable point of view to have. I've been called a pessimist, a defeatist multiple times this year. I'm still holding out faith that we win this league, but there are some people like whatever his username is, saying I've supported Celtic for 50 years. I can tell you now, we won't win the league. All we need to win it is next season a defensive midfield and a strike force, nothing less. And I get it. I was at a family party yesterday. Or not yesterday, sorry, today. And shout out to John who might be watching here. But I mean, we had this conversation today, and good mate John said to me, I don't think we're going to win the league. And I think that's totally fair. Why would anybody be confident that we're going to win this league title when you watch the way the team plays? But yeah, next season we need to change a lot. We need to change a lot next season. Do you think it would be a good idea to drop Scales for Benjamin Arthur? I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's an idea. But once again, it's just... and this isn't on, I get it, suggesting things that we could do. I totally appreciate it. I appreciate every comment. These things aren't going to happen anyway. It's just, once again, January, February, maybe we could have had an entertaining conversation about this. Unless there's an injury, not going to happen. Don't seem to have the fitness to keep up the press. Yeah, we just look very unfit this year. All the injuries as well, piling up. Like, you've got to ask the question, what's going on? It's very frustrating and all that. But yeah, simple as that. Would you ever try Negrin at striker? I said earlier in the season that I would think about it, kind of tongue in cheek, but no, I wouldn't. I think he's not. I think his goals have came from exploiting people forgetting about where he's coming from in the pitch. I don't think he'd get the same joy as a striker. That's my honest opinion on it. But I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. Right, how long are we into the stream here? We'll go for another few minutes. get as many questions in as you possibly can, whether that's about the weekend, whether that's about the weekend's game against St Mirren, or this time next week I should say, or whether that's about the future. I don't know. You can give me a point. Hello Aaron, sir, I hope you're well. It's good to see you, brother. Big shout out to Aaron, big fan of the stuff. Obviously still happy for the 3 points, but seeing Hearts and Rangers kill teams off even in adversity is very concerning. We'll be hopeful until it's mathematically impossible, but not confident. Very well summed up. That last sentence in particular. Yep, hopeful until it's mathematically over, but not confident. I've had a gun to my head that was asked to confidently say whether or not Celtic or Rangers win the league, or Hearts, sorry. I don't. By the way, if there's any Hearts fans watching, I am not deliberately leaving Hearts out. I'm not saying they don't have a chance. It's a force of habit, and I think you can understand that. But yeah, if I had a gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to give an answer. I don't think I confidently say Celtic. We don't have a goal scorer. We don't have a midfield. Our defence is pretty mince. Like, what part of it? What part of it makes you think, we're going to do it? I wish he did. Mate. Hopefully, maybe in the future. Because they have to play again, don't they? Falkirk and Rangers and Falkirk and Hearts. So maybe Danhausen curses them a couple of times. Apparently there's rumours of Michael Nicholson leaving. I've not seen any rumours. Let me go and do a wee Twitter search of his name. I've said it for months now. I don't expect Nicholson to be in place next season. I would be stunned. It would be negligence of the highest order if Michael Nicholson was to be in his job next season. I'm going to Google I'm going to Twitter search his name and see if anything comes up. I don't see anything about rumours of Nicholson leaving. To be fair, I don't know if it's forum type stuff, but hey ho. Do you think we can beat Hearts and Rangers at the minute, though? Do you think it's totally different games? Let me put it this way. Celtic didn't lose to Rangers twice, and it wasn't that long ago. It was, end of February, start of March. Start of March, yeah, it was the start of March. It was only last month we went to Ibrox twice and didn't lose. That's not me saying that I confidently think we'll beat Rangers, but where is this? I get it, we're not good. And Rangers scored 6 goals today. Maybe that should point in the direction of worry. But I'm not going to suddenly sit here and act like I'm bricking it over a team that has also really struggled this year. 2-0 down today to Falkirk. If you take your chances, you'd like to think if Celtic went up 2-0 against Rangers, we wouldn't blow it. There's no guarantees around that. But I think both Celtic and Rangers fans shouldn't be going into that game thinking we're going to win this or they're going to spank us. It can go either way. And I think that people are maybe letting today set a bit of paranoia in about it, and this weekend set some paranoia in about it. Look, we'll talk about it closer to the derby. Do I think we could beat them both at the minute? Perversely, yes, I do, but not confidently. Not confidently. I don't say that. I'm not, trying to sit here and wind up Rangers fans or Hearts fans by going, we'll win. I know there's a good chance we don't win. But, I'm not necessarily scared of these teams, is what I'm trying to say. Right, a couple more to kind of wrap it up. We do have a Rangers man in the chat saying, as a Rangers man, you can never count Celtic out. It's either Rangers or Celtic going to win the league. It's there you go, an opinion of a Rangers fan in the chat there, saying you can never count Celtic out. And it's the same, can't count anybody out in this race at the minute, quite frankly. Thoughts on Vickers and Jota returning? Do you think they still have the ability in the team that they previously had? I think Vickers will. Jota I'm worried about, but we'll deal with that next season. We'll deal with that one next season. Right, let's get one or two more. I'm approaching the 35-minute mark. I watched the game against St Mirren, and it looked like we were scared to knock the ball up the pitch, and Maeda looked terrified to run at defender, which is crazy with his pace. I thought Maeda was actually okay yesterday, pretty decent off the ball especially. But, obviously not as effective this year as he was this time last year. That is what it is. We kind of addressed that at the start of the stream. Murray. I really need to know what's being said at halftime. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up there tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It has been a pleasure, as always. We'll be back to normal routine tomorrow. Pardon me, sorry. That's rude of me, oh my. I'll be back to normal routine tomorrow. Videos, content throughout the week, building into that Scottish Cup semi-final on Sunday. Hopefully we avoid any injury worries or anything like that. Thank you. Cheers. It's been a good evening. Hail, hail, and one game at a time, lads. One game at a time.